Review section 3 is solving problems some more. However, we're solving story problems some more. So first we're going to have to write the equation. So number 1 says Glenna wants to rent a car for a trip to Key West for 1 week. She calls 2 car rental companies to get prices. Mr. Cotter's Rentals rents a Cadillac Escalade for $99 for 1 week, plus 11 cents per mile over 100 miles. Barbarino's Rentals has the same vehicle for $75 a week plus 15 cents per mile over 150 miles. How many miles would Glenna drive before she would be spending the same amount? So the first thing I want you to do is write an equation. So let's take a look at Mr. Cotter's Rentals. It's $99 for the week plus 11 cents per mile. So if I'm thinking about how to write an equation, my cost would definitely be $99 plus 11 cents per mile. Do we know how many miles? No, we don't. So we're going to just write M for mile. Anytime it says per mile or per or for every, that's the part that's going to get the variable on it. So Barbino's, the cost would be $75 for the week plus 15 cents per mile. So 0.15 for the mile. And the question is, how many miles before they will be spending the same at the company? So now if I know that the cost, I want the cost to be the same, I can just set these two expressions equal to each other. So I want the cost to be the same, so let's go ahead and solve this. So again, I want to get my variables together first. So I'm going to subtract 0.11 m from each side. That's going to give me 99 equals 75 plus 0.04 m. I'll subtract my 75 from each side. That'll give me 24 equals 0.04 m. Divide that by 0.04 on each side. So my miles turn out to be 600 before they are the same. Okay, very, very good. Let's go ahead and try number 2. Arnie bought a car with 27,000 miles on it. He expects to drive about 1,250 miles per month. So if we wanted to write that expression, the total miles would be the 27,000 it already has plus the 1,250 for every month. So the per is the one that gets the variable. So 1,250 months. The question then says, how many months will his car have 55,000 miles? So if I want my total to be 55,000, I'll put that in for t, and then we'll go ahead and solve this equation. And hopefully this one's a pretty simple one. I'll subtract 27,000 from each side. That'll leave me with 28,000 miles equals 1,250 m. Divide each side by 1,250, and my m should be about 22.4 and then months. When we're dealing in story problems, you really need to label your answers so that I know you know what your number represents in terms of that story problem. Okay, number 3 says a farmer grows 3 crops, wheat, corn, and alfalfa. He farms all of the land he owns. On his farm, a third of the land is wheat, 2/5 of the land is corn, and 60 acres are alfalfa. How many does he have on the farm? Okay, this is kind of a tricky one to set up. So what you want to do is say the wheat plus the corn plus the alfalfa would equal the total farm, right? Okay, but we don't know how much he has on the total, but I know a third of the land is wheat. So I know a third of the total land can be in replace of the wheat. I also know that 2/5 of it is corn, so I can replace the corn with 2/5 of the total land. I know that there are exactly 60 acres of alfalfa, so that is not a percentage of the total. That's just 60 acres, so that does not get a variable, and that equals the total land. Okay, so a third of the total, 2/5 of the total, but it's just 60 straight acres. There's no variable there. That has to equal the total. So what I would like to do is put my variables together. So we should get a common denominator. Common denominator between 3 and 5 is 15. So 3 times 5 is 15. So make that 5/15 t. I'd have to multiply that by 3. So 2 times 3 is 6. So I have 6/15 t plus 60 equals, well, that's 1. So that would be the same as 15/15 t. So if I put these two together, that gives me 11/15 t plus 60 equals 15/15 t. Get your variables together. I'm going to subtract 11/15 t from each side. So that's going to give me 60 equals 15 fifteenths minus 11 fifteenths is 4 fifteenths t. So I can multiply each side by the reciprocal, 15 over 4. So that's going to give me t equals, well, that's 60 over 1. 4 goes into 60 15 times. 15 times 15 is 225. You might want to use your calculator for that one. I don't think I'll ask you to do that without a calculator. And then we're going to label that acres so that I know you know what 225 stands for. Okay, that one's kind of tricky, so let's try another one that looks just like that. Number 4, Paige works to earn spending money and save money for college. Each month she plans to save a third, spend a fifth on clothes, a sixth on transportation, and the remainder for entertainment. Last month she had $42 to spend on entertainment. How much did she earn? Because this looks just like the last one, I'm going to suggest that you pause me right now, try and rate the equation, and then see if you were right. Okay, so let's see if you were right. So if the total money she has, some of it she's saving, some of it's on clothes, some of it on transportation, and the rest is on her entertainment. That's how much money she has each month. So if she's got savings is a third of all of her money, that'd be a third of her money, plus a fifth of her money goes to clothes, plus a sixth of her money on transportation. Last month she spent $42 on entertainment, and that equals her total money. So a third of was its spending. Okay, so we substituted those all in. I hope you got it right. Congratulations. I'm sure you got very close, if not exact. Okay, so let's put our variables together. Common denominator between 3, 5, and 6 is 30. So I'd have to multiply that by 10. So I'm going to have 10 30ths m plus I'd have to multiply that one by 6 and multiply that one by 5 plus 42. And that would give me 30 30ths m over here. Adding those all up, I've got 10 plus 6 is 16 plus 5 is 21 30ths m plus 42 equals 30 30ths m. I'm going to subtract my 21 30ths m from each side. So I'm going to get 42 equals 9 30ths m. You can either divide, maybe if you want to divide, because that's not really no calculator, and you can divide by 9 30ths or multiply by the reciprocal. So that's going to give her $140 that month. Okay, so very similar, just kind of thinking through what it means, writing expressions, and then solving them for real world problems. Bring any questions you have to class tomorrow.